Hey everyone, it's Michelle the Dreaming Dilettante, and I have a fun little video for you today. I'm going to be making one of these little I was calling them teeny mini journals. But my thought was that you could make these to add to your larger journals as hidden journaling spots, or you can make them on their own. I have a couple of hooks that I was thinking we could add to some of them. This one came out to be kind of a chunky little journal, but they're fun to make. They use up our scraps. So I'll give you a little flip through of this one. Now I hand sewed the pages together only because I don't have a stapler here in the studio. So if you have a stapler, you can absolutely staple these, so don't think you have to sew them, but I will show you how I stitch this together. And I've just used bits that were on my desk, scraps, torn out magazine pages to kind of go through and decorate this. So let me give you a tiny little flip here of this. Some dictionary pages, some brown paper packaging that I had, the kind that kind of comes when you get things delivered. I have a little trim here that I used, again, some magazine images. I stamped a word. I cut out a heart. I love hearts. I always add them. If I don't know what to do on a page, I generally add a heart, and that always seems to help it. And then I have this little page, just little things. Now, of course, you don't have to decorate them. They'd be great for written journaling. If you wanted to have that in your own big journals, you could tuck these into a little pocket. This is a little piece of tissue paper, some magazine images. I just love that little face. It happened to be after I cut out pieces, this was face up on my desk, and I just thought it was so cute. I had to give it a little home here in the journal. And my fingers don't want to work with these pages here. There we go. So you can see how I stitched that here in the center. Some more words, dictionary pages. And what I did, and I'll show you as we go through, I picked some papers. This is an image or page from a magazine, and then I just reused that page throughout, just kept cutting up little bits to make it feel cohesive. Of course, you don't have to do that, but I'll show you how I did all of that here in the journal when we make our one together. And this I just drew a little star. I colored in a heart here. And some more. So you could, of course, keep adding to these, but this one looks fairly chunky as I did it. So I'm going to show you how to make a bit of a thinner one. This one I used 6 sheets of paper to make this. So of course you could make less, but I love a nice big journal, and it can hang outside of a book. I don't have one here, but I sometimes will dangle these on the bottoms of my journals, so I'll tie them in, and those look really cool. It gives you kind of a tactile experience with the journals. So let's go ahead and make some. So I'm going to move my background paper here. I just thought it would be easier to see that little journal here. So I have some strips of, this is that coffee, or the Kool-Aid paper I dyed. I had some strips left over from journal I made, but if you don't have that, you could use magazine pages, you could use regular copy paper, any paper you have on hand. I'm just trying to use up, I have a ton of these strips left, so I'm trying to use that up. I have a magazine here that has some nice colorful imagery that I'm going to be kind of cutting up and using, so I'll show you how we'll pick through that. And then I have other bits in my desk and things, but I have a dictionary page because I find that I like to add a little bit of neutral and some of the written words sometimes when I'm working on a page. And then I have a basket of different trims, some buttons and things like that, but use whatever you have available to you. I have a coffee, which is completely optional. Or you could have a cup of tea or whatever you like, or water. So what I did, or nothing, of course, right? So I'm going to just guess. I just kind of fold over one end of this strip to decide the size I like, and then I fold it. Now you could tear these if you wanted. I wasn't liking the look of this page when it tore, so, or this paper rather, so I'm going to be cutting mine. And then I just use it as a guide, and I cut a couple pages. So I think for this one I'm going to do maybe 4 pages. Let's see, 1, 3. Yeah, maybe I'll do 4 pages. These are a little bigger. But you could do as many or as little as you'd like to do for your own, depending on how you're going to use it. This one I'll make and we can decorate it, but I'm also thinking it would be fun to make one that's just for writing. So you could do some hidden journaling. That's always fun. So now I'm folding my papers in half. And don't worry if that's uneven, or if any of yours are uneven. We'll clean them up when we put them together. Okay. Just putting all those together. Okay. And so you might be able to see here, I don't know if that's focusing in. Yeah, so you can see how the pages here aren't completely lined up. So I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that off. The other thing I did, which I really liked, is I rounded the corners, just because I like the look of it. You don't have to round yours, of course. Everything's optional. Just giving you some, hopefully, some inspiration. So now, if you have a stapler, and I think a regular stapler is fine, you could, from this side, I would staple one right in the center, and you're good to go. I didn't do a very good job on that one. Okay. But since I don't have that, I'm going to take my little pokey tool and I'm going to poke 3 holes. One in the center, one in the bottom, and one towards the top. So you can watch me do that. And this is just going to be, if you know, I'm going to zoom you in a little bit more here. Whoops. If you know how to do a pamphlet stitch, that's what I'm doing, a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So there's one, and I'm just eyeballing this. It's such a small journal that we're fine. Trying to somewhat evenly space them from the center one. Okay. And then I'm just going to get some string. Now you could use embroidery floss. If you have, I wouldn't use regular sewing thread. If you had a like a wax thread or a cotton thread, that would work. This is some baker's twine that I got at the Dollar Tree, and that's what I'm going to use for this one. And that's way more than I'm going to need. You can measure it if you want. And then I have a giant needle because, oh, I'm sorry guys, I'm out of the shot here. Let me zoom you back out just a bit. Okay. I have a giant needle just because that's what I have. And I'm just going to thread my baker's twine on. And then I'm starting on the inside of the journal. And I'm going to go in through the center hole and out through the back. And then I'm going to leave a tail of the baker's twine there. Then I'm going to go into the top. That. And then I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom hole. And I'm going to go out towards the back. Okay. And you can see my little tail here is on the left side of the booklet. So I'm going to hold that there, and then I'm going to come back in through this center, oops, I'm sorry, back in through this center hole here. And I'm going to bring my needle on the other side of that center string. So if you can see that, now you have a little T. Okay. And then we're going to just tie a knot or two. Probably want to leave yourself a little more of a tail than I did here. But I'm going to make it work, I think. Yeah, that's why. Okay. And you can do 2 or 3 knots, whatever you have available. Okay. All right. And then you can leave it as long as you'd like if you wanted to add any embellishments or not, but I'm just going to cut it short since that's the tail I had. All right, so now you have your little book. So I'm going to zoom you back out just a bit. So I'm going to set that to the side, and then what I want to do is go through my magazine here. And I'm just going to pick a page that has colors that I like, that I want to use in my journal, or images, things like that, anything you really want. And I'm just going to kind of, like that one, I feel it's a nice size, and it'll give me a lot of different things to add. Now, it doesn't have to be the same. This one's another pretty one, so I think I'm going to take that one. And I'm going to take this one here, these images. So they're just pages that I like to use in the journal. So I'm going to start with the cover, but you can start however you want. And I love having some of this brown paper bag, so I'm going to pull some of that out again. You could use some of the collage papers that we made in the previous videos. So whatever you want. And I also have this that I had pulled out when I was making that first journal. So I might start off with that because I'm kind of liking the greens. And I love the images on here that the artist created. This is from an old, I bought some back issues of Artful Blogging magazine. And I've just really been loving reading it and also using some of the imagery. Yeah, I like that. It's no longer in production, but I love the old issues. I'd love for it to come back. That would be so nice. Okay. I think I'm going to glue that there. And I just used a glue stick for most things. Occasionally I used my Fabri-Tac, so you can use whatever you have available. I would just say a strong permanent glue stick. This one I use is the Scotch Create, and that one's a nice permanent glue stick. It's pretty much my go-to. I used to use Yoo-Hoo a lot too. I just happen to get this one now. And that one works really well. So I have that, and I think I'm going to add a little bit of some book paper. And I don't worry about the words even being right side up, because I'm not always making it about the words. So I don't necessarily want that to be the focal point. It's just giving me that color that I like, a little bit of a neutral, and the words that are on there, just give it a little, make it just not a plain piece there. So I've got that, and I think maybe a bit of lace would be fun. So you can really raid your stash and use whatever you have on hand and just have a lot of fun. These can really be customized to a project that you're working on. So if you wanted to include this in a journal, or if you're making something as a gift, you could print out mini photos if you're making this as a present for somebody and put some photos on there. So there's just so much that you can do to have a lot of fun. I think I'm going to try to cut out this heart that's on here. And I'm not used to having everybody zoomed in so much, so I'm trying to stay in shot here as I'm working. So I'll keep checking. So hopefully if I do go out of shot, it's not for very long. But I know this is such a small project, I wanted you to be able to see what I was doing. And I'm planning on making pockets to add these into my journals, because I thought these would be great as writing journals, to have like some hidden writing. So I will share in our next video how I'm going to make some pockets to hold these books specifically. So if that's something you're interested in, that should be out on Wednesday. Okay. I need a little string or something. A little something. Yeah, I like that. This almost feels like a Valentine's theme now, what I'm doing. And so that's the basic idea on how to make this little book. Now, In the one I showed you, I went through and decorated all the pages. This one I'm going to leave blank inside because I just think it would be really fun to have this as a separate writing journal. So you can use all of your little bits and scraps. I think I'm going to do another one, and I think I'm going to use this paper. Let me zoom you guys back out a little bit. So I'm going to use this paper, and I'm wondering if I want to use, yeah, I'll stick with these, and I'm just going to make another one. And again, I'm going to keep this one as a writing journal because I just thought this would be a fun way to have some hidden journaling that's not just a tag in your journals. So this just seemed like a really fun idea. I think it came to me last night or something like that. So yeah, that was cool. So this is about 3 pages, and I think that's perfect. And there's really so many things you could do with this. You know, you could have them, this could be a journal in and of itself that you work in, you know, a really tiny mini journal. Or you could make something where, as I said, it's a hidden journaling with a tuck spot. You could do miniature art in it, just so many fun things. I know I've made little ones like this for my kids, for books for their dolls. So that could be fun. And this is another fun project if you have kids or little ones that you're watching. You could make a little something like this. I would just, you know, obviously not this part with the kids. But, you know, making little books like this would just be fun for them to have ways to decorate it. They could put stickers in it. You know, you can make yourself a little sticker book, which I think would be loads of fun. I'll use, I wonder if I have enough. This might be enough.
1 year later, and look, here we are. I remember the 2 of us in your car, changing all the words to the songs that we knew. So much change, the only constant was you. I've been places that aren't very pretty, and you save spaces for love and a big city. I don't sleep, you dream all night. The climb is steep, we're dressed in white. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing with my life. What we want is something people say isn't what